Hey guys, Hitman89 here, making a video for buygames.ps, and if you weren't able to play a lot of RPGs because you didn't have a PS4 or an Xbox One until now, or maybe you want to make sure you didn't miss out on any good last-gen games before moving on to the PS5 or Xbox Series X, then this video is for you, because today I'm gonna show you the best RPGs to play on PS4 and Xbox One. Please don't forget to hit the like button if you find this video helpful, and let me know what other genres you want to see next in the comments down below. Now let's start with the first game, and when you look at the graphics you might find Skyrim ugly now, but back when it first came out, well, even back then it was ugly. That being said, the dated graphics didn't prevent Skyrim from being one of the best RPGs of all time. You can play it in third person or first person view, and whether you're into melee or magic, Skyrim's got what you need. For real, everything is up to you. You can be a murderer, a thief, a hero, whatever you want. But the user interface is just horrible. At number 2 we have another open world game, except The Witcher 3 doesn't allow you to make your own character or do whatever you want. Because on this game you play as Geralt of Rivia, a Witcher. And take a look at these graphics. You would never think this is a 6-year-old game. Keep in mind that regardless of what people say, The Witcher 3 is far from being perfect. It's got plenty of small issues, but the most noticeable one for me is the lack of freedom that you might feel once you've played some other open world RPGs that allow you to do whatever you want. Oh, and if you like card games, I'm sure you'll love Gwent, the minigame that can be as fun as the actual game. The soundtrack is also amazing, and if you have a next-gen console, you'll be happy to know The Witcher 3 is getting a next-gen upgrade by the end of the year, so it'll look better than ever. Moving on to the next game, which is completely different, since Divinity Original Sin 2 is an isometric tactical RPG with a powerful story and a flexibility rarely witnessed in a video game. You can rush into battle and see how things go, or you could do the right thing by taking your time to assess the situation and plan your next move carefully, so you can catch the enemy off guard and sometimes even defeat foes that are much stronger than you just because you executed your ambush perfectly. The only con I can think of when it comes to Divinity Original Sin 2 is that once you start playing it, you won't be able to have a life anymore until you put at least 100 hours into this game. Moving on to the fourth game on my list, if you're looking for a serious challenge before the Elden Ring comes out and you haven't played Dark Souls 3 yet, then I can't recommend this game enough. Just make sure you do a lot of research while playing the game to avoid missing out on too much content, because there are illusionary walls, optional bosses, and even whole areas that you would probably never discover unless you look up YouTube guides. Oh, and if you get stuck in a boss fight and can't manage to beat it even with tutorials and guides, then you should explore some other areas, level up, upgrade your gear, and go back to that boss fight to get the crap beaten out of you again. No, but for real, dying and retrying is what makes the game even more fun and rewarding. So if for some reason you haven't played Dark Souls 3 yet, go ahead and dive into it. You won't regret it. Now the next one I want to show you is way more recent. Yakuza became a turn-based JRPG, and that's what made me love it. Plus the main character, Ichiban Kasuga, he loves Dragon Quest, just like me. By the way, if you're looking for the most unique game that came out in 2021, this has to be it. It's hilarious and it'll have you doing ridiculous stuff like recycling cans, beating homeless people, turning a cracker store into a huge business. Oh, and if you've never played the Yakuza game before, then you should know that for every 2 minutes of gameplay you get 10 minutes of cutscenes. And as you can see, it's got a turn-based combat system that allows you to use special abilities related to your job, which is basically your class. Although it can be repetitive, it's so fun you wouldn't even notice it. But you'll have to deal with the crazy difficulty spike in the last 3 chapters, where the game will force you to go do side quests and dungeons so you can level up enough times before you can take on some more boss fights. That being said, it's one of the best RPGs you can play right now, so if you haven't played it yet, you're missing out. At number 6 we have Dragon Quest XI, and if you're into turn-based JRPGs, you need to give Dragon Quest XI a shot. Even though it can be a little too childish at times, it's fun to play though, especially the exploration part, since there are tons of chests and items to find everywhere. The crafting system is also very interesting and enjoyable, because it's not just about having the right ingredients. You actually have to forge your weapons and armor through this interface. But what I love the most about Dragon Quest is its turn-based combat system, which became rare nowadays, and that's a little sad. Speaking of which, the 7th game on my list doesn't have turn-based combat, and at first I was gonna pick Fallout 4, but in my opinion the Outer Worlds did a lot of things much better, and it doesn't look like a PS3 game. It's got a good sense of humor that you can see in some of the ridiculous dialogue options you can pick from. And speaking of options, the amount of freedom and possibilities on this game is pretty impressive. Being able to avoid the bloodbath in complex situations just by talking to people and convincing them to solve an issue peacefully can sometimes feel more rewarding than taking out a whole army by yourself. And what makes the game even more interesting is that you don't have an evil faction that wants to dominate the world on one side, and on the other side a peaceful faction made out of angels. Everybody's got a little bit of good and bad in them, and who you side with is entirely up to you, but you will have to deal with the consequences. Next on my list we have another sci-fi RPG, it's Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which is a remaster that includes Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. It's got updated graphics, but like I said, it's not a remake, so don't expect anything insane visually, just better lighting and most importantly, way better textures. And it's not just a visual upgrade. The Legendary Edition adds plenty of quality of life improvements that make the gameplay feel more recent, like improved aiming, better interface, etc. But the AI is pretty bad, so keep that in mind. At number 9 we have Kingdom Come Deliverance, aka realistic Skyrim, because the game is historically accurate, so there are no dragons, monsters, or magic powers. Plus, you have to eat, drink, and sleep, or Henry, the main character, will get tired, which results in having his stats negatively impacted until you deal with his needs. Oh, and the combat system is also based on a realistic approach where your weapon efficiency heavily depends on the type of armor your opponent is wearing. And whether you're attacking or defending, you have to pick the right direction and angle to hit, counter, or block. The in-game tutorial explains everything in detail, so don't worry. Well, the only thing you have to worry about is the amount of glitches and bugs you might face while playing Kingdom Come Deliverance. At number 10 I picked Assassin's Creed Valhalla just cause it's the latest one and it's pretty similar to Origins and Odyssey. So depending on the era and location you find most interesting, pick the one you like better. The footage you're looking at was captured on Xbox Series X, and apart from being incredibly beautiful, the game's got everything: stealth, action, exploration, and enough content to keep you busy for at least 60 hours. So on Valhalla you play as a Viking called Eivor, and you get to choose your character's gender first, and later on you'll have some customization options like hairstyles and tattoos. You obviously also get to upgrade your weapons and armor, unlock new skills and raid fortresses, pillage them and use the resources to grow your settlement or to upgrade your gear. It's up to you. And that's what I really love about this game. It lets you choose your approach, and it's got so many good game mechanics that no matter what choices you make, it'll always be enjoyable to play. And that's gonna be it for the best RPGs to play on PS4 and Xbox One. As you probably noticed, I've only picked games that are available on both platforms, so no exclusives, to make sure everyone can play all the games on this list. Speaking of which, if you want to get any of the games I showed you, head over to buygames.ps, the best website that sells PlayStation and Xbox games for incredibly low prices, and they're the only ones that offer a lifetime warranty on all of their products. You'll find their link in the description. I hope you found this video useful. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, especially since we're gonna be doing the best and worst PS4 exclusives next, and then after that, the best and worst Xbox One exclusives, so stay tuned. It's been Hitman89, see you guys very soon.